I would like to apologize because of my small brain. I fucked up the voice recording, so the data got corrupted and I can't retrieve it, and then yeah, shit sound quality on this review. Hope you still can enjoy it, and I guess yeah. When you watch the review of, not the review, the comparison of the Dunu Luna against the Z1R, the U12T, the S8, and the Mest, you probably would expect that I don't like the Dunu Luna, or it just simply suck as an IEM. Though they don't actually suck as for just an IEM. It's not like a failed experiment type of IEM. Rather, it's a more of a disappointing one, I guess, or that it's not worth for the price they are asking for. These are supposed to be like $1,700, just like the Z1R after it got its price reduced. And the Z1R getting its price reduced just kills the Dunu Luna. It's no longer relevant anymore, unless, like in the review, you think that the Z1R has too much bass. Then the Dunu Luna might be, yeah, you feel like the Z1R has too much sub bass. Yeah, probably Dunu Luna could be your pick. But then again, there are a lot more better IEMs at its price range than the Dunu Luna. I guess that's the TLDR. The build quality is fantastic. It's made out of titanium. And the cable is very beautiful. You can change the 4.4 millimeter jack to 2.5 or a standard 3.5 millimeter. There we go. So yeah, the build is fantastic. I have no problem with the build. The fit is very good. It's very comfortable. The kind of concave shape here kind of annoys me a little bit when it touches my ear. But other than that, this is a much more comfortable IEM. If you compare them with the Z1Rs, definitely, or the S8s, or the Mest. This is just a comfortable IEM. A shallow fit if you usually wear an over-ear headphones and you don't like to jam things in your ears. This might be a choice. I don't recommend it, but might be a choice. The bass here is a very solid presentation of bass. I think it has quite a strong punch for being not boosted as much. It has that a bit of a elevation in the mid bass region. It doesn't extend to the sub bass that well. Even something like the Sony MDR EX1000 extends better than the Dunu Luna. The bass is adequately fast. It is a textured type of presentation coming from the beryllium driver. In overall, might bleed a bit. It doesn't really, but it might. You don't feel the separation between the mid-range and the bass. It's just a continuation from the mid bass, upper bass to the lower mid-range. So if you're looking for that type of bass shelf, you're definitely not getting one here. The Dunu Luna, I think the bass depth is also pretty good. It's not a type of one tone type of bass, so the bass is definitely one of its better parts. The mid-range is, I think the presentation of the mid-range is a bit forward on the Dunu Luna. It's definitely more of a mid-centric IM. Yeah, I guess that's the presentation of the mid-range. The treble here is very forward. Very, very weirdly tuned. If you listen to the Luna, you will notice that there is a dip on the treble, a not good and not necessary type of dip. After like 5k, 6k, it just dips, and it kind of ruins everything, the tonality, and I don't think that is acceptable for this price they're asking for. And that is actually the number one complaint I have with the Dunu Luna. Though I am not the person that would usually favors tonality over technicalities, or have such high priority on tonality over technicality, but the presentation of the Dunu Luna here just sounds a bit too rounded up. It's a bit veiled, I guess, in its presentation due to the lack of treble proper. Though the lower treble is very boosted, in my opinion. So if you're sensitive to lower treble, you might think the Dunu Luna is very, very bright, but no, I think it's actually pretty dark. I don't think it's a... I don't really doubt that this is kinda bad, or fucking bad, fucking terrible on the treble region. So I don't think anyone would doubt that. In the upper trebles, it extends quite well. It's not the most extended type of treble presentation, upper treble presentation, but it extends fairly well. Definitely better than the treble proper. It's not louder than treble proper, and it doesn't have that imbalanced type of treble as overpowering the mid treble. No, but they're kind of just scooped out in general. That's probably it for the tuning. So for just general bass, mid-range, and treble presentation. Its tonality is kind of whack, absolute garbage type of tonality. If the instrument you're talking about is the fundamental tone of the instrument you're talking about is at the around upper mid-range to treble range. While instruments in the lower frequencies as a fundamental tone, with the fundamental tone in the lower frequencies, tend to sound okay, I guess. So bass guitars, drum sounds, bass drums, they sound like cello, they sound proper. Although, like cymbal strikes, some female vocals, very high female vocals, or female vocals in general, tend to sound a bit dulled out. It's like soft and veiled type of presentation. It doesn't. It kind of loses some weight in its treble region. So yeah, the tonality kind of is not very good. The timbre, although this is a dynamic driver, a single dynamic driver, which should have a very good timbre, the whackness, the wonkiness of its tonality, general tonality, really bottlenecks its timbre presentation. It can't produce that realism of sound. It doesn't present instruments, a lot of instruments, like the ones that have the tonalities fucked up by its tuning, in a realistic way, unlike something the Z1R can do. Even multi-balanced armatures like the U12T might sound more realistic than these at those specific instruments, which is quite a pity, for these have excellent resolution across the board, except for probably the treble region. Excellent resolution. It has it has average soundstage size, width or depth. Depth's okay, it's better. The imaging is quite good here also, although its soundstage is not that wide. It's unlike the Z1R. The dynamics here, although not as good as the Z1R, it's still better than a lot of headphones, in-ear monitors out there. But the general sound, general mid-centric type of muted treble presentation, which doesn't really extend that well on bass and on treble, kind of ruins what should be a very coherent sounding, fairly, it's like $1,700 resolving IM, with good imaging for its price. So yeah, the tuning kind of fucks it up. It's supposed to do, if you buy a single dynamic driver IM, which is the Dunu Luna, the single dynamic driver IM, you would expect something that a dynamic driver could do. And it does a lot of what it's supposed to do, except of producing great timbre in terms of transducer related effects. Because dynamic drivers have the advantage over the balanced armatures or the E-stats, for they have a more proper, I guess, for realism in its transients, and they have excellent dynamics, which might generate a much better sense of realism in its timbre presentation. But it's very disappointing that the tonality does not support that. So I guess that's a bit of a ramble of the Dunu Luna. I know I've tested a lot of IMs before buying the Z1R. I've tried 40-50 different type of top of the line IMs, and these are surprisingly not one of the worst out there. But for the amount of exposure they have, the amount of information that's out there that's saying these are a very good IM, I am quite disappointed to say that these are not that. These are not the top 10% of the IMs. Though these might be better than like 70% of the top of the line IMs, though a lot of top of the line IMs are not built for sound. They are not actually. The funny thing about expensive high-end boutique IMs, a lot of them are pretty experimental. That's when like IM makers, like builders, would use their creativity in making IMs. We'll have a separate topic on that. So yeah, I don't think these are a type of failed experiment type of top of the line IMs, but it's definitely not one of the best, and you have a lot of other IMs that are better. If you want to look at the Z1R comparison, you'll just have to watch the full-on comparison I did with the U12T and the MEST and the S8s. But this thing here is supposed to be the EX1000. I would like to compare these to the EX1000 because mine is lent to a friend of mine. Though both of them was a single dynamic driver, which is pretty interesting to compare. Because for me, personally, I like the EX1000 better than the Dunu Luna. Are the tuning more agreeable in the EX1000? No, not really. But it gives you a bit more balanced type of sound presentation because it's a much more mainstream, I guess, type of tuning. I mean, neutral with a bit of boost at its treble region is fairly common, even in open back headphones like the hi-fi ones. Though, with the difference might be the vocals, the mid-range on the EX1000 has a slight dip at the 3K, 4K region, while it has an elevation on the Dunu Lunas. The resolution is actually pretty comparable, which is actually a testament to how good the EX1000 sounds like for its price, because they are priced very, very differently. They are very cheap compared to the Dunu Lunas. The dynamics are also very comparable, although the resolution is a tad better on the Dunu Luna in general. But the dynamics, I think I favor the EX1000 better. They're pretty comparable, I guess. And they support a single dynamic. The bass extension is also better on the EX1000 in my opinion. It's also a more tighter type of bass presentation, while not as elevated as the Dunu Luna. The imaging capabilities, however, the EX1000 sounds more pinpoint in terms of left to right imaging. However, the Dunu Luna has better sense of space. That's also due to the EX1000 have a significant, in my opinion, significant upper treble roll-off, which is not the case in the Dunu Luna. But in overall terms, which one would I pick, the Dunu Luna or the EX1000? For me and my preference, I would still pick the EX1000, even with the difference of the price with the Dunu Luna. That's how much I think the Dunu Luna is unimpressive. Even though I like its technicalities, the timbre presentation and the tonality, it's just too unimpressive for me to actually recommend these to anyone. Although they're definitely not the worst, but then again, a lot of top of the line priced IMs suck ass. So being the best at a specific, not the best, being better than most top of the line priced IMs is not really a high standard. I think the Blessing 2s or the S8s are better than most, like 70 to 80% than at 70 or 80% top of the line priced IMs. So yeah, because when we talk of the line, we usually talk about the Z1R, the U12T, but we don't talk about the weird type of obscure brands like the Bravos. It's not really obscure. Everyone knows they suck. Okay, so there are a lot of shittier products out there, though these are still difficult to recommend. So I guess that's it for the videos. Don't forget to watch Jason's. See you next time, Godspeed.